The Euphoric Brothers have been the center of controversy for the last 2 months. After releasing their highly divisive title Garden of Banban and its sequel, their 9th and 10th games respectively, a lot of attention was drawn to them. Many people have looked through their previous releases and stumbled upon their second game, Introvert, a teenager simulator. This game and the implications behind it stirred up even more controversy. This game may be called a teenager simulator, but it's far more complicated than that. This is a game about you meeting a new kid in school who threatens to shoot up the school if he doesn't make friends within 5 days. This game has been called disrespectful. It has been accused of not handling the serious topic with the level of severity that it deserves. Today, I'm going to go through this game, the accusations leveled against it, and the intentions of the Euphoric Brothers. At best, this game has been accused of being disrespectful towards a serious topic. At worst, the creator has been accused of creating this as somewhat of a sick fantasy, and yes, I did say creator singular, which we will get back to momentarily. Let's begin by going through the Steam page. Warning, this game contains heavy material that might make players/audience uncomfortable. In Introvert, a teenager simulator, one of the new guys in school tells you he's going to shoot up the school if he doesn't make friends in 5 days. Discover the decisions, people, situations you will encounter while playing with the other new guy in school trying to make friends of your own and living your own life. I wouldn't call this intentionally disrespectful, but I do feel that more mature word choice could have been utilized to make it feel a little bit more serious. This feels like a summary you would get from a friend recommending the game and haphazardly trying to explain it to you off the top of their head. This game talks about serious issues such as bullying and suicidal thoughts in a new and different way that will hopefully be interpreted better by the new generation. In this game, this project is also personal to me. It is a small universe I created to make my zone-out thoughts and stories a reality. I made this game because I was sad, so it took a while to be finished because, it's hard to work on something when you're sad. This is where I'm going to take a detour to the About Me page. I am Faris, one of the Euphoric Brothers. Addicted to overthinking, lo-fi, and making video games, I decided to merge all 3 hobbies into one project. Thus, Introvert, a teenager simulator, was born. I have developed this game completely by myself, except for some audio, songs, and the voice acting. Oh, and I am also 19 and a first-year university student. After releasing a lot of failed commercial games, I realized that I don't care about money, and that what I really want is to create my own universe and community. Smiley face. The first 2 paragraphs are what made people concerned about Faris. First and foremost, yes, this game was only developed by Faris. I am unsure if Geppo was involved in the auditory aspects of this game because Faris does not elaborate on this, but when we play through the game later in the video, I'm sure the credits will be telling. But more importantly, people are concerned for Faris's mental state. This is clearly a passion project. Faris claims this game came to life after he decided to outlet his overthinking and sadness into a piece of work. People worry that his zone-out thoughts and stories are indicative of Faris himself daydreaming about a situation like this. No matter the role he would play in these fantasies, it's understandable that people would be concerned for his mental health after hearing this. I do feel obligated to mention that this is all purely the indie horror community's speculation. Moving forward, we have the story. It's the first day of school in Happyville. You are a mute, one of the 2 new kids in the school. The other new guy is Chris, an introvert quiet guy who tells you he will shoot up the school if he doesn't make a friend in 5 days. Yes, you can be his friend to fix all of this, but instead you can take out his crush who's made sure you know she's interested in you. Or maybe you can go out with his bullies who are planning to break into the school tomorrow to change their test marks. You have 5 days to make those decisions. Now, if handled with respect, I can see these options being broached appropriately. It could send a message that even showing one person some kindness could prevent a tragedy, but it could just as easily push the blame of a shooting entirely onto the player. There are many factors that beget a tragedy such as this, and the never-ending shift of blame is a complicated subject. That's one of the main reasons that this game concerns me. This topic is so intricate and divisive that I have my doubts that a single developer will be able to respectfully portray all aspects of it. Finally, we have the features. Entertaining but suspenseful gameplay, multiple endings, fully voiced characters, dank and glitched out universe, Gen Z humor, lots of lo-fi, unique graphics and visuals, captivating, interesting characters, narrative-driven story, immersive lore, can be played with only a keyboard, available for Windows, Mac, Linux, a turtle in the school. The thing that really threw most people off was the inclusion of Gen Z humor. I can't see why this would be a feature in a game covering this serious of a topic, and the upset that arose after people noticed this was not unwarranted. I guess soon we'll figure out to what extent the dev actually takes this. One final important thing to mention is that most people partaking in this discussion have not actually played the game. They see the many concerning aspects on the Steam page and join the discussion from there. I do not think that there is anything wrong with that. There's a lot to be worried about just from that page alone, but I personally want to play through this game before joining in on that, so that I and anyone watching this can have a wider frame of reference. The game itself doesn't look bad. It feels like an indie game, but it's leagues above the other content I've seen from the Euphoric Brothers. However, Forest heavily utilizes chromatic aberration and other assorted glitch effects that really get in the way of the game. There were multiple times where I couldn't read text or could barely understand what was happening on the screen. There were a couple times where I thought the effect just was not gonna go away. The soundtrack is comprised of lo-fi, as promised, and it's pretty good. I think it adds a lot to the vibe the developer was going for. The game itself is mostly just a walking simulator. The running is abysmal since you have to spam the key for the direction you want to run in. When you're outside, you can use your skateboard, which only requires you to hold shift. You also have class segments where you need to participate in tests, oh joy. If you get all of the questions right, you get some kind of prize from your teacher, which I will touch on later. When I first started this game, I wanted to explore the map. I walked into this motel and heard sobbing, so I walked forwards to see what was going on. Dude, you okay? Don't lose Hallman or you will get lost in the hallways forever. Whoa! 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 What the Where is he? A does not work. Where is he? I'm stuck. Okay, not only were the instructions wrong, I was immediately stuck in the halls forever because of the fact that it was wrong. I reloaded the game and redid the segment. One out of 5 blue fedoras? That's right, there are 5 blue fedoras hidden around the map. I found 3 on my first playthrough, but on every following run they just never spawned, so I was unable to get them all. I don't know why Forest added this chase sequence to only hide a single collectible, especially because it doesn't even remotely fit with the vibe of the game. This is only the start of many inappropriate creative decisions for the subject matter. When I read the description of this game, I assumed there would be 3 endings. One where you go with the love interest, one where you join the bullies, and one where you cultivate your friendship with Chris and prevent the tragedy. So let's go through all the endings in the order that I played through. I decided to do the 2 bad endings first and to finish on what would most likely be the most satisfying one. You start off in your home, walk past a dead body that is never explained, and then head off to class. After walking through your incredibly weird-looking school, you and Chris are introduced to the new kids. There's also a turtle, for some reason. He likes walking around during class and obnoxiously opening and closing the doors on you. So you sit down next to Chris, who promptly introduces himself to you.
Hi, I'm new here. I'm guessing you're the other new kid. We can stick together if you want. Forgot to tell you, my name's Chris. I also forgot to tell you, I've moved around a lot. Never got a chance to make any friends. If I don't make any friends in the first 5 days, I will shoot up the school. Can you be my friend?
This feels like a caricature of what would actually happen and a poor excuse to drive the plot forwards. Chris doesn't incentivize you to become friends by being kind to you. He indirectly threatens you, telling you he's gonna shoot up the school if you aren't friends with him. Did he feel fine saying it because you're mute and can't relay the information to the rest of your class? Also, why is he just standing on his desk now? Alright, being mute doesn't add anything to this game, and it feels like many of the characters blatantly forget about it.
Ahem. New kids table. Anything y'all talkative-ass kids want to share with the class?
I'm mute. You do a really difficult test before class ends and you have a minor run-in with some bullies. After that, you try and leave the classroom but get stopped again by another one of your classmates.
So, you're the new mute guy. I'm Amanda.
You make me greatly
I
uncomfortable.
Like mute guys.
That what?
There's just something sexy about your silence.
What?
I'll see you tomorrow.
Don't fetishize my disability. Alright, maybe you should not have added that one for us. Especially since nothing else comes from it. There is no point to that being in the game. The next day, you are stopped by a different classmate before you can enter the classroom. This is your love interest, Emma, and the basis of this first ending. You walk her to class and sit down, only to find out that there's a guest speaker.
We have Mr. Frackin' Shit.
Classy.
Thank you, Mr. Frackin' Shit, for this motivational speech.
In that clip, I turned down the audio. But in real life, I could hear it perfectly clearly when holding my headphones a foot away from my face. This game does not have audio adjustment settings. I do not know why the hell this was included. It's not a joke, at least it's not a good one. It just makes the player physically uncomfortable. And it once again spits on the serious tone of the game that you've been trying to set up. After whatever that was, you and Chris make some plans to head out after school and get some pizza. He also wants to talk to you about the girl he likes, Emma, which may prove to be a point of contention later. But first, a test. I totally didn't just use an app to solve that math problem. What are you talking about? You head out to get some pizza.
Can I have pizza with Greek cheese, smoked salmon, black caviar, red onions, tomato sauce, spicy mayo, chili flakes, banana slices, maybe some garlic, kebab pieces, tuna, sausage, and scrambled eggs on top, please? Oh, yeah, make it extra toasted too, if possible.
No.
I think this scene is supposed to be funny, but it just detracts more from the serious tone of the game. With no pizza in hand, you head off towards the lake to hang out before the bullies from earlier follow you. They begin to beat Chris up, and the only options you have are to join in or watch it happen. I don't understand why you can't try to intervene, but eventually they just leave and Chris goes home. The next day, Emma once again stops you and asks if you will walk her to class. You agree before being called into the principal's office where both you and the bullies are scolded for beating Chris up. I don't know why Chris told this to the principal, but it doesn't exactly make me want to spend time with him. The lead bully tells you that if you want revenge, you should see if you can go to Chris's house later and then let them in to beat him up once again. He also threatens you if you spend any more time with Emma, claiming she's some kind of freak or a monster, like a werewolf. He then removes all of the tension by moonwalking away. Chris apologizes and invites you over. Your only two options are to go home or to let the bullies into his house. For this ending, we go home. The next day, Emma properly asks you out after school. In class, you get assigned a group project.
You'll have to make...
Another malicious piece of game design. Thanks, Faris. You and Emma meet up and go to a restaurant for dinner, but all the tables are full, so you hang out by the lake instead. Look, I'll just play the clip.
Here we are, finally.
It's just so peaceful here. Hey, you know, 'cause you can't speak, you can't really express anything. But it's weird. I know what you're trying to say all the time. Does that make any sense?
Well, Mute, I warned you. I told you to stay away from this freak. You didn't listen. And now you're also getting punished.
Your turn.
After a full minute of whatever the hell that was, you go back and get some sleep. The next day, Emma and the bullies pretend like absolutely none of that happened. Chris is not at school today, but class begins per usual.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the place of learning and knowledge, the school.
So this should be day
Level
4
of
by my
hardness
count?
Today's lesson is ridiculous.
What? Is that Chris?
Oh, Chris, you finally decided to join us.
He was less than a minute late. I'm beginning to think that my count may have been off. Yeah, my count was off. The teacher crab walks out. Nobody runs, and Chris opens fire. Emma transforms and runs away. This happens in every ending, even if you don't know that she is a werewolf. After it fades to black, a newspaper is shown revealing that you and the most reluctant of the bullies are the only ones who survived. It is also revealed that Emma was killed by the authorities who came to stop Chris. I didn't actually notice this little detail the first time because of the oh-so-comedic news articles such as Teacher of the Disasters class missing after reportedly walking sideways out of the class moments before the incident, and whatever this image is? These should not have been in the dramatic end sequence of a game like this. Any genuine emotion or message that Forrest was trying to convey was utterly shattered by this inclusion. Okay, let's go next. Next ending. So we're gonna go through this one a lot quicker because this game is very repetitive on repeat playthroughs, so there is not a lot of extra content. The first 3 days are identical until you are made the offer to get revenge on Chris. You go to his house and let the bullies in. They proceed to enjoy some lo-fi hip-hop beats to beat people and study to. On this run, I got all of the quiz questions correct, so I get that prize that the teacher was talking about. The teacher tells you to drop by his house after school to collect it. Ignoring how terrible this sounds, you go anyways.
Finally you're here. I need you to help me. Release me from this hell I am trapped in. I am nothing but an unexplained abomination roaming in the vast universe with no good intentions or purpose. I won't forget this favor even when we meet again in hell while we are burning to ashes in a never-ending loop. Use the gun I gave you and finish me. You are not leaving till you do.
Your only option is to shoot him, and I do not know what this adds to anything. It doesn't change the game, it does nothing. I think it's trying to be some kind of weird meta joke, but it's not effective. Afterwards, you head to the house of your classmate to work on that school project instead of ditching like you did last time with Emma. Chris was unfortunately in a group with you and another bully, but that other bully apologizes, revealing why he was spared in the newspaper from the last ending. You, being mute and all, can't apologize. The bully leaves for some reason, and you are told to stay away from the elevator that is in his house. After immediately entering the elevator, you greet a hell demon with a smile and a wave before going home and going to bed. This is never explained. The next day plays out exactly the same, with the exception of you becoming a victim of the shooting. Next is the friendship ending, where you stop the school shooting. It's identical to the love interest route, but you just spend time not being allowed to do the group project because it was not programmed into the game. This is the moment of truth for me. This game has attempted to be two things: an enjoyable and funny game and a piece of artistic commentary regarding school shootings. I think it could have been more successful if Forrest picked a lane when creating it, but instead it's been a complete mess. If this ending, the one most people will try and get, is respectful towards the topic at hand, I can at least give the game a little bit of credit as a piece of art. Despite what the Steam page claims, you cannot win. You cannot stop the school shooting. No matter what you do, you will lose and your classmates will die. The credits do not include Geppo, but they do include the intentions of the game. Thanks for playing, and hope this game has helped raise some awareness for the issues present. Look, I don't think Forrest meant poorly. I think he was in a dark place and wanted to create something meaningful, but he failed at this. He failed at this by trying to add humor and sci-fi elements. He made the same mistake as Chris at the start of the game. Instead of incentivizing us to become better as a community by showing what good would come from it, this felt like a threat of what would happen if his interpretation of the world stays the same. Indirectly, this game tells the message that no matter what you do, nothing substantial will change. There is one more part of the game that I think we need to look at. It's actually one of the first things I ran into when I walked left at the start of the game. Here's what happens. This feels like Forrest comforting himself and those like himself, people who are struggling. It comes off as a little forced, but that Twitter icon actually links to the Euphoric Brothers Twitter page. He basically created a section of the game to relax and calm down. Forrest seems to have had good intentions when making this game, but it was not done properly. Introvert is not a respectful piece of media. It makes jokes in a setting where it is not appropriate and ends with a harmful message. There is insensitivity spread throughout all the way to the last second of the game. Now, I'd like to take a moment to explore what happened after this. Forrest released his own Patreon, just for himself, not for the Euphoric Brothers, but just for him. Apparently some friends were encouraging him to do this so that he could continue to produce free games. This is after his earlier statements of not wanting money. As you can see, this page is not performing all that well. A ways in the future, the Euphoric Brothers began to release more paid games to try and make money. They got desperate enough to create Garden of Banban and its sequel, games devoid of any passion. There was actually a sequel planned for Introvert, but I doubt it's still in the works. After all, it doesn't make money. That's all that matters to the Euphoric Brothers now. After all, closing Introvert leaves you with a pop-up advertisement for one of their paid games before it allows you to leave.